This is Math 3 5.1 notes. That's Math 3, Unit 5, Lesson 1. The title is Sampling and Study Methods. There's a lot of writing, so if you are able to print this, I suggest you do. If not, just hit pause and write down everything that needs to be written down. Make sure you fill that in. Okay, when doing a survey, it is usually not practical to get the opinion of every member of a population. And the title is Sampling and Study Samples. Okay, so you want to get you want to interview people here in Fresno County. It's not practical to interview every single person in Fresno County, so you can get a fairly accurate picture of the opinion of a population by surveying a sample of the population. A sample is a smaller group. That represents the whole population. So you interview a smaller group, and that smaller group represents the total population. Okay, there are several ways to choose a sample: convenience, self-selection, systematic, and random. Convenience is choosing any people easily available. You do what's easiest for you. All right, self-selection, having people volunteer. So you say, hey, come answer my questionnaire, and they volunteer to answer. Having people volunteer to participate in the survey. Systematic, ordering the population, like numerical order, alphabetical order, ordering the population and choosing participants at regular intervals. Such as choosing every fifth person from the phone book. I get my roster and I put everybody in alphabetical order, and I interview every third person on my list, whatever it may be. Random, all members of the population have an equal chance of being asked to participate. Okay, the way you choose the sample can introduce bias or systematic error into the survey. When a survey is biased, the results are inaccurate. So how can certain situations be biased? Okay, so let's take a look at some examples. Number one, an athletic shoe company wants to learn which brand of athletic shoes is worn most often by high school students. The company sets up a booth in a local mall and offers a coupon for a free pair of shoes, a free pair of their athletic shoes to anyone who answers the question, what is your favorite brand of athletic shoes? What sampling method is used? There may be more than one. So hit pause, think about it. There could be more than one. Which methods could possibly be used? Okay, I'm going to say convenience. Let's assume that this particular shoe store is already in the mall, so it's convenient for them to just have a booth outside their store or somewhere in the mall close to them, and they say, hey, free pair of shoes for everybody who answers this question. All right, another one would be self-selection. People are volunteering. Yes, they're getting a free pair of shoes, but they're still volunteering to participate in the survey. Not systematic because nobody's being put in order, and not random because it's in a mall. It's not everywhere. It's just in that certain location. Is there any bias in the company sampling method? Yes. Because we already said it's because it's at the mall. You're only targeting people who shop at the mall. So people may not shop there. All right, what else? What are other reasons? Think about it, hit pause, think of some reasons, write some down. Okay, another reason is non-high school students. Non-high school students walk up to answer the question and get their free pair of shoes. So the question's being answered, but not by high school students, which is who they're targeting. What are some other ones? People may lie just to get a free pair of shoes. And there's other reasons. We're going to stop there. All right. A politician wants to know what issues are most important to the voters in his district. Identify the sampling method and any bias in the method. Okay, so this politician spends from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Tuesday talking to people as they enter a grocery store. Okay, I would say convenience, because he's just posting up in front of the grocery store. He's not putting anybody in order. It's not random because it's only at the grocery store. And he's not just having people volunteering coming up to him. He's there at the grocery store asking people as they walk in the door. Okay, so we would say convenience. And is there any bias? I'm going to say it, you're going to write it. So I would expect some writing here. Yes, there's bias because people who work, what about people who work at that time? There may be people who are working that don't go to the store between 9 and 4, so their voices are not heard. The working people at that time are not being heard. Okay, the politician sets up a questionnaire on his website. All right, that one is self-selection because people are going on and volunteering to answer his questionnaire. Self-selection. And they could all have bias. This one has bias because what about the people who don't have internet access or are not computer savvy, tech savvy, and go on to the website, don't have access to his website? Those people are not being heard. Okay, last one. Cindy listed everyone in each class and numbered them. Then she randomly selected students from each class using some computer software. The selected students then represented the school. So she put them in order and then like picked every fifth one, randomly picked from there. We would say that's systematic. And if this is all the politician is using, then yes, it's biased because only the people in that school are being heard. What about the people that attend a different school or are not at school, they're working? Again, a variety of different reasons you can come up with. So you're writing some reasons down for each one. All right, moving along. You can use different types of study methods to gather information about a sample. Observational study, you measure or observe members of a sample so that they are not affected by the study. Okay, so you measure, observe members of a sample so they are not affected by the study. Okay, controlled experiment, you divide the sample into two groups. You give a treatment to one group but not the other control group. Then you compare the results from the treated group and the control group. Again, these are different study methods on how to gather information, different ways to gather information. You can be an observational study, a controlled experiment. Survey, you ask every member of the sample the same questions. So you get a sample, not everyone in Fresno County, but you get a sample and you ask everybody in that sample the same question. Okay. Number 3, a French teacher wants to know how well the students in each of her classes know the correct forms of irregular French verbs. During one class period, she listens to her students as they make conversation in French. She keeps track of how many irregular verbs they use correctly and incorrectly. What study method is described in this situation? Okay, it's not controlled, it's not every member, she's observing, so it's observational. Should the sample statistics be used to make a general conclusion about the population? Yes or no. And again, as long as you can explain. I would say no, because the teacher only observes one class. Teacher only observes one class. Okay. Next one, identify the type of study methods described in each situation. A pollster wants to know what percentage of U.S. senators would support a new law about speed limits. So he selects 20 of the 100 senators at random and asks them whether they would support the law. Okay, so he selects 20 of the 100 at random. And there's 100 senators. He only selects 20, but of those 20, he asks them all that same question. That would be survey. Because he's asking every member of the sample the same question. So he's asking all 20 of the 20 is the sample of the 100 the same question. Okay, letter B. Researchers want to test a new fertilizer for corn. They apply the fertilizer to one field of corn and give no fertilizer to a second field of corn. Both fields are the same size, have the same type of soil, and receive the same amount of water and sunlight. The researchers record the weight of the corn produced in each field. Okay, can you see which one that is? So they have two groups. One has a certain treatment, the other one does not. That's controlled experiment. All right, and that is it for this lesson.